So what I'm going to do now is going to introduce Keith. I'll give you a bit of a background. Tyre, in conjunction with BioOS Energy, have under the Blue Chip banner developed a new system of producing and delivering ANFO style explosive for major mining through small-scale earth moving. The new system is highly suited to large-scale mining, and it delivers environmental benefits that will impress environmentalists and governments around the world. A partner investor is sought to support the commercialisation. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Keith Quigg.
I've got to just figure out where I'm on or off here, folks. We're on.
You're on.
We're away. Steve, I was just thinking while the previous presentation was on that perhaps you've got the wrong way around. You should have done explosives first and then the wound care a little bit afterwards. Where are we? We're talking about a proposition now to take on the big boys, but with some significant new technology to take the explosive part or the use of the explosives into areas where we can provide significant benefits for anybody in the mining from the large to small sections. So we're marketing a new explosive, and this will all be done under the brand Blue Chip. Even though we've got Tyre on our documentation today, the organisation will be known as Blue Chip. Marketing new explosives that use waste rubber as fuel. So to date, most of the, and in the hundreds of thousands of tonnes, the basic explosive is ammonium nitrate fuel oil, and the fuel oil, of course, is diesel. We have developed the technology to replace that diesel oil with rubber, and there'll be a few reasons for that come through shortly. The other part of it, which is perhaps the most significant, is that we have partly completed, or at least one section completed, of waterproof explosive, and we will have in the near future immersible explosives, which takes us into a significantly new area for the mining industry. What are we going to do with the money we're trying to raise? We're looking to a construction of a manufacturing facility, which of course includes all those exclusion zones and bunkering and all those other things that you have to have in this particular market, very highly regulated, of course. And the other part of it is to create the market credibility, being that it's a market that's highly controlled by a number of very large companies. So it's one of those areas where the technology credibility is going to be a very large part of what we do. As you can see in the bottom there, in Queensland alone, it's 600,000 tonnes of explosives used at the moment. Overall in Australia, the market's about 2.4 billion. We're not out chasing the whole of the 2.4 billion yet, but we are looking at going to take over part of that market, particularly in the waterproof and immersibles. We started out on the basis of funding from governments into the process of reclamation of waste that was going into landfill, and being able to find new ways of using that material. And of course, as the glass presentation this morning, we also have extensions on that into other areas, including energy. The technology we have, or we started out with grants, I should say, in this project to get the thing underway. The technology had been around before, but it had been unsuccessful, and the basis of that was that you simply couldn't just mix the rubber and the ANFO together because it separates, and in an explosive sense you get very uneven action. What we've been able to do is to create a process where we adhere the rubber to the ammonium nitrate, which means that when it goes down a drill hole and becomes part of the explosion, it's even all the way through from top to bottom within that drill hole. It allows us for modifications. We can move this into different areas. We can increase and decrease the amount of rubber. We can add other elements into it, which enables us to give higher or lower levels of explosion and so on. So the technology, of course, is advanced. Rubber's safer fuel than the diesel oil. The diesel oil at the moment has some scrutiny on it in terms of gas emissions, and in the US they've got concerns over benzene leakage into water tables and those sorts of areas. So we're trying to, or we know that with the rubber, we don't have those particular issues. It burns more efficiently and cleanly. It provides a more even explosion. and particularly for those from the investor point of view, the product is registered. We're not at a start-up, let's see whether this works. We know it works. It's registered already as an explosive through Queensland, and we have patent information or application out on the product. Just to give a bit of an indication where it's going, you can see with the ANFO at the top, on our first level of testing, we were 12 kilos different, 4.3%. On our second testing, we were 22.5% more efficient than the ANFO using the AN rub, as we call it, ammonium nitrate rubber. Simply, you can use 22.5% less explosive to create the same amount of lift and heave in an explosion. Lower gas emissions, safe in transport and handling. It can be moved around from place to place without any risk at all. As I said before, it's registered as an explosive. It was all tested by independent authorities. It removes rubber from the landfill, which of course is a major proposition. We also have had discussions with the mining industry about recovery of those huge earth-moving tyres which are currently going to landfill. BMA have got 1,000 of them in stockpile in Queensland alone. So again, there are other areas that we can add into this to make it a valuable proposition. The main thing is, of course, that we can also do it and be price competitive. The technology, rubber plus the recycling, gives us a very competitive edge because within our group, and I'll show you that shortly, we've got the expertise right across those areas. We have sustainable supply chains. We know that this can go on for a long, long time without too much worry about the supply. The technology is global. We can pick it up and transport it to other places. It has huge environmental advantages on a number of different fronts. And of course, we've got an exit plan in process. Who are our people? Dave Moore owns and runs Tyre, which is currently handling 1 million or so tyres a year out of the Queensland market on a recycling basis. Alan Toomey, who's got enormous strength in the chemistry area and has designed or done the innovation on creating how we affix the rubber to the ammonium nitrate. Steve Payne, who's a quarry owner and has given us all the facility to do the testing, which has been a huge advantage. Michael Toomey, who does our lab technician stuff. I'm the guy who gets up and talks in front of people to make sure that you're all interested. And Alistair Torrance, Dr. Alistair Torrance was our independent authority. He's very, very highly regarded in the mining industry for his skills. The offer, we're open to investors or equity partners. We're seeking $3 million to establish production and other facilities, and of course to get on with the marketing, and the value of shares there at 12 cents. A bit of an indication, and we consider this as to be the moderate, although we've taken a different approach. We figure things that are either 4 times the cost and twice as long, or twice the cost and 4 times as long to get them to where you want to go. But they're fairly moderate figures in terms of where it could be within the 5-year period, and the returns on investment that we would believe we could get from this particular process. IPO, buyout, JVs, we're interested in any or all of those propositions. And of course, Alan and David are here to talk to you about those things later on in the afternoon. What's the project about? It's about putting a new product a new explosive product into the mining industry. It's a product that's got the innovation of using rubber as a fuel. The technology is basically that ability to create the adhesion, to create the waterproofing, and to create the immersibility of your product so that you are taking it away from the inefficient areas or covering over the inefficient areas of the mining explosives at the moment with a new highly beneficial product. What are the advantages? Well, it's sustainable. It's a product that we can continue to make because the raw material requirements are there. The people, we've just covered off the people, but we are a team of people who have expertise in this area, so we're not doing this from a startup base, we're already there. The offer, as you've seen, is open. We're flexible. We're interested to talk to people who would like to get involved in this particular process. We have already had some discussions with BMA. We have interest from Octedi in New Guinea, who are going to come down to our next level of trials in the next couple of weeks. And we've got a little bit of interest also from one of the major suppliers of explosives, who either wants to know what we're up to or wants to get involved. We're not sure just yet. And the returns and the exit, of course, is up to the discussions that we have with you. And that's us. We look forward to talking to you.